There is one thing that could make Facebook, Meta, ticker symbol META, one of the best investments, I think, over the next 5 years. And this one thing has nothing to do with the metaverse. This one thing has nothing to do with the family of apps even printing more ad revenue than they're doing right now, which they are, which is pretty phenomenal, about $30 billion a quarter. This has to do with an external threat that has flipped Facebook upside the head since 2019. They did not see this coming, and it was a failure in leadership of Mark Zuckerberg. He's a pretty good CEO, done amazing things, but this was a failure for him to not recognize that this was coming soon enough. And that was TikTok. If TikTok gets banned, that is going to help Facebook phenomenally. Lawmakers unveil a bipartisan bill. No, Jim Cramer, I don't want to be part of your investing club. That aims to ban TikTok in the U.S. This is the first time we're getting real legislation that is officially here to ban the stock, or not the stock, the company. A new bill from bipartisan group of lawmakers would ban TikTok in the U.S. The bill comes after years of broad concern across Trump and Biden administrations about the potential the Chinese government has on the influence of the company. And TikTok has insisted U.S. user data is safely stored outside of China, which it says should keep it out of reach for governmental officials. Let's read some of the stuff that's going on. Social media stocks like Meta and Snap were positive today when the news broke. Meta shares were up more than 6%. TikTok, owned by Chinese company ByteDance, has raised fears in the U.S. that Chinese government officials could gain access to U.S. user data under Chinese law that could compel the company to hand over information. TikTok has insisted U.S. user data is safely stored outside of China, which it says should keep it out of reach of governmental officials. Now, Meta, YouTube, Google, all these companies have kind of been lobbying Congress to realize, like, hey, we're not allowed in China. You can't use YouTube in China. You can't use Facebook in China. You can't use Snapchat in China. Why? Why don't we have access to the global audience of 1.3 billion people that are in China that would massively increase our profits, our revenues, all that stuff? It's because China is a dictatorial, authoritarian regime that does not want Twitter and Facebook and Snapchat and YouTube to have access to their consumers. So the argument from U.S. Congress makers is, why do we allow TikTok, which is a Chinese social media product at the end of the day that's whooping the butt of all these other companies in the United States because they figured out how to make a really good product, to be allowed in the United States if they're not allowing us in China? The new bill introduced by Senator Marco Rubio and a bunch of other people would ban all transactions from any social media company in under the influence of China, Russia, and several other foreign countries of concern. It's called the Anti-Social CCP Act, which stands for Averting the National Threat of Internet Surveillance, Oppressive Censorship, and Influence in Algorithmic Learning by the Chinese Communist Party. Wow. This is pretty much everything that people have said is bad about TikTok. It explicitly names ByteDance and TikTok as subject to the restrictions in the bill unless and until the date on which the president certifies to Congress that the company no longer meets any of the conditions described, such as being subject to substantial influence by a country of concern. It is troubling that rather than encouraging the administration to conclude its national security review of TikTok, some of the members of Congress have decided to push for a politically motivated ban that will do nothing to advance the national security of the United States, a TikTok spokesperson said. We will continue to ban members of Congress or brief members of Congress of the plans that have developed under the oversight of our country's top national security agencies, plans that we are well underway in implementing to further secure our platform in the United States. Now, this is interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, if TikTok gets banned, Meta gets an influx of millions of users. I mean, TikTok right now is about 100 million monthly active users in the United States, about 1.8 billion worldwide. Look, if India banned TikTok back in 2020 because they didn't want to be under control of the Chinese Communist Party. If the United States were to ban those people, all those people right now, for those that don't know what TikTok is, it's a short form video application. You need distribution for your short form videos. The reason TikTok was so powerful and so amazing is because they gave organic distribution. Organic distribution means you don't have to pay to get people to see you. You just show up in a feed. So if you show up in a feed, people get to discover you. That is ultimately a good thing. So if you show up in the feed, then you get discovered. That means you get more attention. And all these platforms are doing at the end of the day are day trading attention. So when it comes to the day trading of attention, TikTok created a phenomenal algorithm that gets to know the user even more and more and gets you to discover even more and more creators, which means more creators get discovery, which means they come back to the platform, and it's this self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, here's the question. If an algorithm is that smart and that strong and giving that much discovery, but it's created by the Chinese Communist Party, the question becomes, how is that algorithm potentially influencing people to do things or see types of content that may be attacking an entire nation? There have been reports that the algorithm in China's version of TikTok is fundamentally different. It promotes things like math and learning and science and all these, important things for society to understand. Whereas the algorithm in America, promotes people twerking. And it's like, look, that's not the worst thing in the world. I like seeing some twerking, but it's like, hey, that's not the best thing either for our youth to be consuming. Like, we should be consuming better stuff. And as a result of that algorithm becoming so powerful and capturing and centralizing the attention of users, it has also shifted attention away from YouTube and Facebook. And as a result of that shift of attention away from YouTube and Facebook, that means less ad revenue for YouTube and Facebook. And that means less attention at the end of the day, which means their monopoly on attention, which YouTube and Facebook pretty much have a monopoly on our social media attention, has diverted. If TikTok were to get banned, those companies, those creators would need organic distribution. They would need people to see their videos. They would need to have a place to consume videos. YouTube Shorts is an alternative. Instagram Reels is an alternative, which are the competitors to TikTok when it comes to short form video. There would be an influx of millions of people going to those platforms instantly because they need to post their content somewhere and they want to be first of those platforms before those platforms get even more crowded, which is the whole reason TikTok blew up, is because it was a place that was not crowded, which means a lot of people got to use that platform because it wasn't crowded in order to get distribution. If Instagram and YouTube are now the only options to get short form video distribution, which they are, Facebook as well, but people don't use Facebook that much, even though it is probably underpriced for the attention you could put on Facebook, then those platforms would explode. Meta stock would explode overnight. I think Google would get a lift from this. This would be monumentally good for those two American companies because more users means more time, means more engagement, means more ad inventory, means more content. It just means those platforms continue to thrive even more and more. Now, do I think this is going to happen? Do I think it's going to get banned? No, I do not think it's going to get banned. And the reason I don't think it's going to get banned is because at the end of the day, like, it's just hard for me to imagine that something that's this popular with users in the United States. I mean, TikTok is a popular app. People use it. To imagine that it gets banned and to imagine that it's not being used anymore and to imagine that it's done, it's just hard. It's really hard to imagine that happens. I'm not the biggest fan of TikTok, but I've used TikTok before. I've seen the powers of it. There's a lot of people making a lot of money on TikTok in the United States that really need that product to work. The United States is a very profitable sector for it in terms of advertising as well. A lot of brands have started to use and engage with the platform. If that goes away, it's just like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard, in my opinion, because a lot of Gen Z is not going to be happy. A lot of millennials are not going to want to vote for the administration that banned it. I don't think they would necessarily vote for Trump, but like, it's hard for me to imagine something that's this powerful, this strong, has this much grapple hold of our attention gets banned. Now, this bill has come out, and probably every Democrat and Republican should agree that it's time to ban this because they are both united against the CCP. But I think it would lean a little bit more towards Republicans versus Democrats because Democrats like TikTok in the sense of it's where the cool kids are. As crazy as that sounds, Democrats want to be cool. Like celebrities are on TikTok, famous influencers on TikTok. If you ban it and people can't use it anymore, I don't think you're that popular with those constituents anymore. The question becomes if you need those constituents to be able to get elected and be able to get your power. So do I think it's going to get banned? Gun to my head, no. I do not think this thing is going to get banned. I think the legislation is fine. I think there's going to be some voting, some debating on it, but I don't think it's going to get banned. That would be very dramatic, and it would be a big thing for Meta and Google. Like, that would help those stocks, but I just don't think it actually happens. But we will see at the end of the day. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think TikTok gets banned? Do you think that helps Meta and Google? And do you think this bill actually goes through and has any chance of resulting in some type of ban for TikTok? Thanks so much for listening and watching. I'll see you in the next one.